From Arrow Video on 4K UHD comes the totally bonkers Italian shot in America sci-fi thriller The Visitor from 1979. If you don't know The Visitor, buddy, you need to know The Visitor. This is directed by Giulio Paradisi, Michael J. Paradise in the credits. It was shot by an Italian, mostly Italian crew. No, somewhat Italian crew. I'm trying to remember what they say in the extras. I think it was partly an Italian crew, mostly American cast, shot mostly in Atlanta with interiors in Rome. And you wonder how some of these actors that are in this film got in a film as goofy as The Visitor. And then you think, well, you know, if they were shooting the interiors in Rome, I bet these people wanted a nice little vacation. This was featuring John Huston, Franco Nero, Mel Ferrer, Glenn Ford, Lance Henriksen in a very early role, and Joanne, who you would know from Switchblade Sisters, if you know Switchblade Sisters, Shelley Winters, and Sam Peckinpah, who's apparently had a much larger role in the film, but was cut way, way down because, according to the commentary, he was drunk most of the time. So this features English SDH subtitles. It looks amazing. This was previously released on Blu-ray several years ago by Draft House Films, which I happen to have a copy right here. I've owned this forever. I don't need this anymore because of this Arrow version, but if you have this version of The Visitor, it has now been replaced. So the story goes a little something like this. John Huston is sort of an Obi-Wan Kenobi character. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. The film opens with him in this futuristic, phantasm-looking desert with weird things in the sky, and he sees this weird figure that transforms into this little girl, and now he knows that the Antichrist is going to show up in the form, or the little girl who's going to bring about the Antichrist is going to show up in the form of this little girl in Atlanta, and he needs to go there and get her and stop her. He tells this to Franco Nero, who is basically blonde Jesus surrounded by a bunch of bald kids in robes at his feet, where we hear a story of basically Jesus and Satan both being aliens who came to Earth, and we need to stop this kid. So John Huston, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. John Huston travels to Atlanta circa 1978, and a lot of really goofy things go on. This movie is basically like a combination of The Exorcist and The Omen and The Bad Seed, where this little girl is just this nasty little mean girl who does things to people that she doesn't like with her mind, so people suffer great injury and some spectacular stunts too. There's a moment at a birthday party that is so out of nowhere, I cannot imagine it wouldn't elicit hails of laughter from an audience. This film is very unintentionally funny throughout, but it does have a really good score. It's got a very good bombastic score that just like out of nowhere will swell up. Like if you've seen Dr. No after watching a lot of other Bond films, and you see like the Bond theme kicking in when he's like walking down a hallway and putting his key in a door, and you're like, this moment isn't that thrilling. Why are we hearing the Bond theme? The Visitor keeps doing that with its theme. Excellent score if you like Italian soundtrack scores from disco-ish soundtrack scores from the late 70s. Excellent cast. They're all speaking English, and they're doing it's either on camera, on set recording, or they're dubbing their own voices. And if you like movies like Beyond the Door, which is no coincidence, as this movie kind of feels like that at times because it's from the same producer, who also produced Tentacles, which I think is how he got Shelley Winters and Glenn Ford or at least Shelley Winters and John Huston involved with this. It is just nuts. And you get to see some cool sights of 1978, 79 era Atlanta. You get to see what has become the CNN Center, the giant mall building where there's a very memorable and hilarious ice skating scene in this. And you get to see John Huston walking down this huge escalator that's not moving. And that escalator originally was there to take people up to the World in Sid and Marty Croft, which was a very short-lived indoor theme park that the people who gave you Puffin stuff did in that place in Atlanta. Probably the remnants of which were still there when they shot this film. And it's nicely shot. The main house that a lot of this takes place in, the interior is really nicely designed. Like you watch it, like, I want to live there. There's great stunts, some stunts that make you go, did somebody survive that stunt? It's a wonderful amalgamation of ripoffs, which the Italians were always really good at. If something would come out that was popular in very short order, they would start banging out the ripoffs. And this one it's not transparently a ripoff as much as Beyond the Door is, but it's wonderful. Special features on this. So the special features on this take everything that was on the old Draft House Films disc and they add more to it. So again, if you're like, oh, I never got the Draft House Films disc, I still need to find that and pay an exorbitant amount online because it has extras that aren't on the Aero disc. Not true. Aerodisc has it all. This has a new commentary by BJ and Harmony Colangelo from the This Ends at Prom podcast. I had to shut it off because it was, and I don't like commentaries that basically mock what I'm watching. I like commentaries that give me information about a film. And I had, believe me, you will have a lot of questions if you pay attention to this film as to where is this and why is this and how did that happen and why. And there's a lot of whys that I did not hear an answer to. I watched a bit of this commentary before I turned it off because I'm like, this is just wasting my time. It's people who are just laughing at the movie, which is easy to do, and I can do that on my own. That's fine, and making fun of everything and being kind of ironic about everything. And I'm like, that's fine. But I really would actually like to learn something from the commentary. Now, maybe they got better as it went along because I'm telling you right now, I shut it off. But I did chapter forward a few times, and every time it was just more of the same. And I feel like that's kind of a waste. They could be wonderful people. It was just not for me. We have 2014 interviews with screenwriter Lou Camici, which is 9 minutes and is hilarious. He keeps talking about the ideas that the producers, they wanted somebody who could, in America, who could speak English and Italian so that he could work with the actors and the crew, but the director and producer spoke Italian. And he said they kept asking him to do these really terrible things, or these things that he's like, it's not going to work. This is dumb. They're like, we need a scene with her on the toilet. And he's like, why? And they're like, everybody goes to the bathroom. They'll identify with that. He's like, people don't want to look at that. It's just, it's very funny. So we also have an interview with cinematographer Eno Guariani. I apologize for mispronouncing and mangling that name. That's 4 minutes, and a 9-minute interview with Lance Henriksen, which is very funny, and he's smiling and laughing the whole time. He says, he did this film. It was his first big film role. He was excited. He went to show his friends. There's a story about him going to see it in Times Square somewhere that's pretty funny. And it's nice to know that he was willing to talk about the film and he has such a good sense of humor about it. And then we get new extras. We get A Biblical Battle for the Cosmos, which is a new visual essay by film critic Megan Navarro. That's 19 minutes. A Cosmic Right to Choose, new visual essay by film critic Willow Caitlin McClay. That's 11 minutes. And then we get the Draft House Films re-release trailer, which is really well put together and cut. It's 2 minutes and an image gallery of 40 images. This is a film I highly recommend. It's a film that is a cult movie that not a lot of people have ever talked about. I don't know why. I don't know if it was maybe really hard to see on video for a long time, but it is out now in 4K UHD, the best it's ever going to look, unless somebody deems this worthy of 8K one day. The Visitor.